Heidi ho neighbors, Rado Goji here,
And I'm Soylent Greg.
and welcome to this. Yes, you're looking at it correctly. This is going to be your Squeeze the World podcast for this week, featuring
This week we're doing something a little bit different.
because of recent weather stuff and the aftermath that we're still sorting through here. Greg is not able to
It's
be at my
snowing
house,
sideways.
and
Yeah, I'm sitting at home in a snow-covered neighborhood. Although my son is finally going to school tomorrow after being off for a week, so woohoo!
but
I am stoked about that.
you also kind of live on the side of Mount Crumpet, so
I do. Yes, we do. A little known fact, Mount Crumpet from The Grinch was actually based on the hill in my neighborhood. Both ways out of my neighborhood require you to climb a hill, but that hill in particular is pretty freaking nuts to go up. I was only able to go up that in the snow back when we had a Ford Escape.
wow.
That could make it up the hill, but our
the
little
Ford Runaway, I remember that.
Our little Nissan Versa not making it up that hill.
So we're doing this over PlayStation Party, and I'm just going to be innocuously playing Final Fantasy XIV in the background here.
I'm just going to be probably messing around with menus and shit. I don't know if I'm actually going to play anything while we're talking. Probably not, since I would prefer to focus on the talking part.
Yeah, because we don't have too much to talk about this week. Not too
No,
much happened. And we mainly want to talk about the Game Awards, which took place as we were filming last week's episode.
That's correct.
But
And there were some surprises at the Game Awards, which we'd like to talk about.
But before we do that, Greg, what have you been playing this week?
What have I been playing this week? Actually, this week I can say for the first time in what is probably years that I have beaten not one but two video games this week.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I beat the 2018 God of War. Spoiler alert, I went back to it after it won the Game Awards, and had about 4 hours left of it actually to play, and it's very good. We'll talk about that when we talk about the Game Awards. I really liked it. I don't know that I necessarily loved it. It's a really easy game to like a lot, because it's a modern AAA game where everything is quality. The other game that I beat was Cuphead, and ultra hard 2D platformer Cuphead. I absolutely loved it. Cuphead, I would have to sit down and actually tally things up, but Cuphead legitimately may be my favorite game that I have played this year. It's just everything about it is perfect. It's difficult, but fair, even though I throw my controller and scream bullshit. And I can play it with my son, who is absolutely obsessed with Cuphead and its lore and YouTube videos about the bosses and levels that were cut from it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to trying it out on expert mode. But Patrick, what are you playing this week?
Other than this, I've been playing quite a bit of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on the Switch.
Yeah.
It's I don't think it's as absolutely fantastically great as everyone says it is, but it is a good Smash Brothers game. So I don't regret buying it or anything like that.
Good, because I know you were a little bit back and forth on the Smash Brothers, because
Yeah.
you haven't been big into previous games in the series.
Well, I like Smash Brothers, but it's just one of those things where like I buy it and then I play it for a while and then just like never get back to it. I was actually really looking
That's me
forward.
with pretty much every video game.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to the like the new single player adventure mode that they were talking about. I actually went entirely the wrong direction from where I wanted to go.
Uh-oh.
That's okay. But I found it a little iffy for me. I mean, it's well put together, but it's just I don't find it that fun. I've just been having fun just doing random fights and whatnot. I've unlocked quite a few characters. I haven't unlocked all the characters yet.
Okay, I've heard that it's like I said, I haven't picked my copy up yet. It's not getting open until Christmas anyway, but I've heard that there's kind of a grind this time around to unlock the characters.
Yeah,
It's more grindy than previous games.
kinda. I mean, the characters do unlock quickly enough, but when you start off with 8 characters and there's a total of 74,
Wow.
it can get to that kind of a point. But I played some of the new
Yeah, in that
characters.
case, it doesn't matter how quick.
Yeah, but I have played some of the newer characters. Inkling sucks. Um, I have had a lot of fun playing as Simon Belmont.
Inklings are the little things from Splatoon, right?
Yeah, I tried
Yeah, it
playing
doesn't
as the
surprise me
Inkling.
that they suck.
They sucked. Ridley is awesome.
Ridley? Oh shit! I
Yeah.
didn't know you could be Ridley. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was one of the first characters that was revealed.
See, I don't follow it nearly
okay.
closely enough.
But yes, Ridley is in the game now, and he's
Excellent.
playable, and he wrecks pretty much everything. Did I play as any new characters yet? Other new characters? Nothing I can think of off the top of my head, but it's a pretty good game. Go ahead and check it out if you can. And I'm hoping to sooner rather than later finally get around to beating Half-Life 2. I played it quite a bit yesterday. But
Yeah, I apologize, by the way, because when you sent me that thing about Gordon's like bug army adventure,
oh yeah,
I thought that you were about to send me the game clear thing. I thought you had beaten it. That's why I sent
no.
you the like congratulations thing.
no, I haven't beaten it yet.
People may not be aware of this. Casual listeners may not be aware of this, but Patrick and I do a thing where it's sort of an in-joke thing. He has this picture from some game. It's like what game is it?
It's not from a game. It's actually from Kamen Rider XIV.
It's from Kamen Rider XIV. It says game clear. And whenever we beat a video game, we send it to the other person along with the name of the game that we've beaten. So that's what I was expecting Patrick to have sent me. So
no, I was
that's just something we do.
Yeah, I was at the point where I had the antlions following me around, and I could tell them what to do, and I was having a lot of fun with that. So.
Oh yeah, that is fun. That game's real good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a huge shock for anybody to be told in 2018 that Half-Life 2 is a good game, but it is a good game.
It's a good game. I don't know if I would call it like a this game good or something like that, but it's a good game.
No, I don't think I would give it this game good.
No, I mean there were a lot of points that really I was not on board with, like Ravenholm. Ravenholm can eat a dick.
Ravenholm is the best. Oh my
Ravenholm
god,
is like the worst thing.
You're playing it on the orange box too, right?
I'm playing on the orange box and maybe the PS3 version. I don't know.
You've got the trophy then for beating. There's a trophy in there for beating Ravenholm using only the gravity gun. And I got that trophy on the 360, and it was one of the most pain in the ass trophies I have ever gotten. And it's like one of the main reasons like I don't give a shit about achievements / trophies anymore is because shit like that, like I have no way of seeing it anymore, because now I have a PlayStation 4. I don't have an Xbox One. It literally, like, there's no way I can even look back and be like, oh yeah, Half-Life 2, remember when I got that really difficult achievement?
Yeah.
No, you can't. It's over. It's done. It's gone.
The thing with the PS3 version of the orange box, though, is that it actually doesn't have trophies with it because it predates when they had trophies. So I don't have to worry about any of that shit.
That.
Nope.
You don't have to worry about that. You're not even. Yeah, just gun everything in Ravenholm down. You didn't like Father Grigori?
I liked Father Grigori, but just like there are points where I don't like a lot of the enemies in the game, and they get to a point sometimes where there are just so many of them it's freaking annoying. And the head crabs and the zombies are like on the top of that list for me.
Yeah, definitely. I find it interesting that you say though that you're upset at being mobbed by enemies, because I think the thing that is almost sort of iconic from Ravenholm is the first time you're on the rooftops and one of those I forget what the actual name is, but those walking head crab zombie things that reduce you to 1 health
Oh,
come
fuck them.
come screaming across the rooftops. That's the moment that everybody remembers from Ravenholm, because it's the part where shit got real.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me
I love
wrong.
it. It's like a little horror game tucked in the middle of this fantastic first-person shooter.
Don't get me wrong. The presentation, it was great, but I just had to get past the irritating gameplay. Really.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
All right, so I guess we can get on to our.
We ended up talking about Ravenholm. I did not expect that to come up in this episode.
That's okay. Well, I mean, we've got to find something to talk about because we don't have a whole lot, but let's go.
A whole hell of a lot has happened in the video game industry this week.
But
shit.
There is one sort of thing that has.
I hope nobody sends me a fucking party invite while we're doing this. Sorry, my sister's fiance just hopped on and got right on Dead by Daylight. And usually if I'm online and he's on Dead by Daylight, he will try and send me messages to play with him. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen and screw up the podcast.
I won't screw anything up, I don't think.
Okay.
Anyway, the big thing that's got people all up in a tizzy this week is Street Fighter V now has an option that you can opt into basically putting ads into your game. And I think the way it works is there's like an option you can toggle, and then
Nani?
like ads. The ones that I've seen, like you can. There's like basically two sorts of ads that you can go. Like one of them is like on loading screens. It'll say like brought to you by blah 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 blah, which is okay. And then you get to the point where the characters and the stages are just plastered with ads. I saw a screenshot.
Amazing.
I saw a screenshot on Push Square of Akuma doing his Raging Demon move, and on the back of his gi, instead of showing the kanji that comes up when he does the move, it shows like the sticker for the the Capcom tournament or whatever.
That is so ridiculous. It's actually kind of endearing. Can we just go completely insane with it? Can we have like Akuma like turns to the camera and pulls out like a Subway sub and is like, now that I have defeated you, I can eat this tasty $5 footlong. Is that something that... Now, let me ask you something, because I have heard of this, but I have not I've not done a lot of research. I haven't watched the Jim Sterling video about it. So it's a toggle that you can hit to put in ads, yes?
Yes, it is. You can opt out if you want. Yeah, it's opt-in.
Okay.
You can turn it off at any time.
What benefit do you get from having the ads?
You get a tiny bit more in-game currency whenever you win matches and such.
That's absolute garbage, because I can absolutely see this becoming the new thing in Assassin's Creed, in Shadow of War, in all those games where, because like as Sterling says, you control that grind. So if you're making it so that you're tempting the player to accept in-game ads in order to make that grind less annoying to themselves, like, holy shit, that is scummy on an entirely different level.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I'm not even necessarily all that against the idea in principle of having like an opt-in for ads in game. Because I mean, I'm sitting here on the couch, and I literally, sitting right next to me is a Kindle, and that Kindle has Amazon ads.
Yeah.
And every time I click off of the book or whatever, it loads an ad. But the thing is, this Kindle was cheaper than an equivalent Kindle because of the ads. Amazon was willing to cut the price by a certain amount in exchange for the ability to show ads on my Kindle. And sometimes, I don't think I've ever actually purchased anything from an ad on the Kindle, but sometimes you get deals on books, etc., that pop up in the ads that you wouldn't get if you weren't getting the ads on your Kindle. So I'm not against the idea of the ads, because the ones on the Kindle certainly don't bug me, but you have to give something tangible to the player in exchange for that.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of
Maybe
mobile
an
games,
avatar.
a lot of mobile games will have like that kind of thing where you can opt in for ads to get something in the game, but as well, a lot of those mobile games are free to play, and that's getting
Yes, of course.
and that's fine. I'm okay with I'm more okay I should say with microtransactions and stuff like that for free to play mobile games, because they got to get money from somewhere.
Oh, of course. I don't think either of us have ever disputed that. I mean, neither of us really has a problem with microtransactions in free-to-play games. It's when it becomes a free-to-pay game that there's a problem.
Yeah, this is Street Fighter V, which is, you know, it's a full retail
Street Fighter. Yeah,
it's a full retail game.
Full price for this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there was a $60 version, now if we want to take the Amazon model, if there's a $60 version of Street Fighter V that doesn't have ads, and then there's a $45 version of Street Fighter V that does have ads, where, you know, M. Bison at the end of every match lectures you for a moment about, you know,
the cool, refreshing taste of Pepsi.
Exactly. That tells you that all of the women love him because he sprays Axe body spray on his body every night. First of all, that would be amazing just in and of itself.
Yes.
That's fine. But and it's interesting that it's the weird thing is that it's Street Fighter. Like, that to me would not be the test case, because there are ads in some games, but it's typically an issue of verisimilitude. You know, if you're playing Madden or something like that, and there are ads on the sports stadium, nobody's really gonna complain too much about that. Like, if I'm playing like a Grand Theft Auto game or something like that, and I drive through the city and there's a billboard for, you know, I don't even fucking know, Doritos. You know, that's something that you could reasonably expect to be in the Grand Theft Auto game.
Right.
I mean, on a billboard, but having like, you know, having, you know, Akuma, you know, have a character do their super move, and instead of like the kapow, it's like an ad for Benetton that pops up. Like, that's just, it immediately takes you out of the game, which is kind of a heavy price to pay in terms of gamer feel, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my wife's phone. So yeah, what?
I said doing it live.
Fuck it, we're doing it live.
This reminds me a lot. This reminds me a lot of.
I think it was your mom or Brooke. I'm not sure. Okay, sorry. Go on ahead. We're doing it live.
This reminds me of a lot of when back when we first did like the old podcast. Our very first episode was about stuff like this.
Oh my god! Yes!
With the achievements, with the Kentucky
Coke
Fried Chicken.
Zero survivors. Yes! The KFC and the Coke Zero achievements. Yes! Well, no, there weren't actually Coke Zero achievements, but I joked about Coke Zero achievements.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. They were placing adverts in your achievements.
Yep.
In your Chivos. They were putting ads in your Chivos, which is just the oddest goddamn thing.
So yeah, this situation reminded me a lot of that. I guess this is kind of like an evolution of that. Except you can opt out of this one, so it's that's something you got going for you, which is nice.
Well, you can opt out of it for now.
Yeah,
but
opt out of it
because that's the thing I was just complaining to you about before the podcast started, when we were sort of having our pre-podcast chat, getting everything set up. We were talking about the Xbox 360 and how they slowly went from the Blade menu, which was the best menu for a video game console ever devised by man, and slowly clogged it up with ads and made it absolutely shitty and terrible. And that's exactly what's happening only inside of the game with these terrible fucking advertisements that they're filling up every empty ounce of space with.
Yeah, because I mean, you already got the entry fee. Why not, skim a little bit more off the top, I guess.
Absolutely.
But
Like I've said this, they are killing the golden goose. You have a product that just prints money. Video games, AAA video games, they print money with the DLC and the microtransactions, and they're just cutting that goose open to get the gold inside, and it's just gonna die. You're selling it before you even know what you have. You slap it on a lunchbox and you're selling it. Yeah, Ian Malcolm was a prophet, y'all.
So that is a bunch of bullshit there. And speaking of large annoying ads, the Game Awards
I love it.
Again this past week while we were filming last week. Hosted by Jeff Keighley, who's I think is, at least from what I've seen, a giant pretentious douche. But we're not here to talk about Mr. Keighley. We're here to talk about the Game Awards in general.
First off, about the Game Awards.
So let's talk about how Dragon Quest XI was robbed.
Oh, absolutely. Did it win? I'm not.
Okay, so Dragon Quest XI.
I gotta pull up the while we're talking. I gotta pull up the list of winners and everything.
I don't remember a lot of the winners. I basically remember Best RPG, and I also remember Game of the Year. Now, Best RPG, Dragon Quest XI, which is the game that, I mean, it was one of the inaugural This Game Good things here on the podcast. It was up against it was up against stuff like Octopath Traveler and stuff like that, which is very popular as well. And it ended up losing to Monster Hunter World.
Monster Hunter?
Yes. Now, the eagle-eyed gamers out there might have noticed, Monster Hunter World is not really an RPG.
I was gonna say, I think you could technically consider it an RPG, but I really wouldn't consider an RPG in the same way that you would consider, Dragon Quest XI an RPG.
Yeah, that's using RPG extremely loosely, and I'm not saying that Monster Hunter World didn't deserve to win awards. It was a very good game in its own right, but
sure.
I do not believe, even if it was an RPG, that it should beat out Dragon Quest XI.
Hell, it was nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah, it was. It didn't win Game of the Year, but
no, it did not.
But Red Dead Redemption did not win Game of the Year.
I was gonna say, I was surprised. I really thought the fix was in for Red Dead Redemption, and it turned out that it was not.
So did I.
God of War won.
Yeah, I think Red Dead did win a whole bunch of other awards during the presentation. Like they won Best Music and probably a bunch of presentation stuff. But no, God of War, or Teal'c of Boy, as I like to call it, won the Game of the Year award, and I'm actually very pleasantly surprised that Red Dead didn't win.
Same.
Not to say that Red Dead is a bad game or anything like that and doesn't deserve to win an award again, but it was one of those things where, I knew I was damn sure it was going to win because it had just come out, it was still fresh in everyone's minds, and people's judgment was going to be clouded to that. Their objectivity, if you will, was going to be clouded.
Well, it was also going to be clouded by big bags of money.
That's true.
From Rockstar.
But no, Teal'c of Boy.
Let's just say Red Dead Redemption moved me into a bigger house.
I know people call it God of Boy, but I call it Teal'c of Boy because Christopher Judge should better be known as Teal'c from
Damn right.
1.
No, I mean, good on God of War. It's a great game. Like I said, I really liked it. It's a very easy game to like. I think the word for God of War is really quality. It's a moderately linear experience, but everything has just been polished to like a mirror-like shine. Everything from the writing to the voice acting to the quests to the combat system, everything is just it's really, as much as we say the phrase AAA in like a derisive tone and do it the way that
Jim Sterling does.
that Jim Sterling does it, it really is a prime shining example of the way that the studios with like an absurd amount of money and talent can just go head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yeah.
That said, I didn't love it. I don't know that I would consider it my game of the year. I tend not to do the whole game of the year thing myself personally anyway, mostly because I usually haven't played the biggest games that came out that year, and if I do, it's usually the next year or the year after that.
Yeah.
It was really good. I find it interesting. I find it an interesting evolution in the God of War series, in that the original God of War games heavily pandered to me as a young, college age, heavy drinker, hellraiser, and now the God of War games are pandering to me all over again as a mid-30s suburban dad. I think I've thought a lot about The Last of Us when I was playing this game, actually, because they hit a lot of the same notes, and I feel like that's becoming like the new thing for AAA devs, is to throw in this parenthood or fatherhood like angle to it, because that's where all the gamers are going. I mean, the biggest contingent of people who are playing games and who are buying these $60 AAA games, they're starting to look down middle age. I remember at one point, not to be too terribly spoilery, but your boy, things happen and he gets upset at you, and he as he is a sort of a young teenager, he becomes very surly at one point and is talking back, and when you request that he fill an enemy full of arrows, instead of being enthusiastic about it, he'll be like, whatever. And I turned to my wife and I'm like, boy, I am not looking forward to that age. And I realized that was the moment that the game was just pandering the fuck to me. and it still worked. It still worked because it's really, really good. The other thing with God of War is there's another thing that I thought of. I'm sorry to just keep talking about God of War, but there's another thing that I thought of that occurred to me several times while I was playing this. I was thinking about God of War 2. God of War 2 had a whole bunch of sort of bonus videos and behind-the-scenes videos that you could unlock on the disc once you beat the game. And one of them was the developers in the sound booth with Malcolm McDowell? Is that the guy? I can't remember. The dude from Clockwork Orange. He was the voice of Prometheus, and is it Malcolm McDowell? It's Malcolm something.
Malcolm McDowell was in Clockwork Orange. Yeah, I didn't play. I didn't play far enough in the God of War 2 to know which one you're talking about.
I was trying to remember the actor's name, and he's doing the lines, and he's like, do you want me to sound like more angry at the gods, or do you want me to sound like more tired and resigned? And the devs are like, we don't really know. We don't have experience with actual actors. And I was just thinking that if they didn't then they absolutely do now. Because the Christopher Judge is awesome. The dude whose name I don't know from Lost is great as the bad guy. Just everybody is good in a way that only these sort of mega budget AAA video games are good. But I'll shut up now about God of War. We can talk about the rest of the Game Awards.
Spoilers. I know that Greg said that he doesn't like doing Game of the Year stuff, but we will be doing a Game of the Year thing. in a couple
Oh,
weeks.
of course
So.
we're going to do a Game of the Year thing. We're a gaming podcast.
There we go.
By
But
the
we're
way,
waiting.
I love that there is a best ongoing game category for the Game Awards. It's like most successful live services.
All right. Now, during the Game Awards, they did announce quite a few big things. I'm just kind of wandering around here now because I can't really think of too much else to do. I could help with the Moogles. I could try to help with the Moogles. Anyway,
Oh yeah, help the Moogles.
first off, probably most importantly to us is that, and let me tell you, I never saw this coming. Um, the main character from Persona 5, also known as Joker by his code name in Persona 5, is going to be in frickin' Smash Brothers as a DLC character. And I was a little weirded out by this because I'm just thinking, oh, this is just another Cloud Strife situation where like he has no reason to be in Smash Brothers because he wasn't on a Nintendo console.
I remember telling you that I was like, I remember telling you that I had the feeling that Persona 5 was going to get ported to the Switch, and you told me that they had absolutely no plans to do that.
Yeah, back when the Switch first came out, they said straight out, we're not putting Persona 5 on the Switch. But then I remember Persona Q2 is like out now in Japan, so that's a thing. So
is that on the Switch?
It's on the 3DS, but it's like Persona Q only with Persona 5 characters in addition to the 3 and 4 characters.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I never saw that coming. It was a last surprise. I'm sorry.
That took me a second. I didn't get that the first time. I feel bad now.
It's okay. I'm not the first one who pulled that.
I'm sure. People always, game journalists always go for the easy joke, and so do we.
Quick footnote, I guess. Marvel Ultimate Alliance is getting a new game. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is coming out, from what I understand, exclusively on the Switch, which is very odd, but very, again, surprising.
That is weird. I know I asked you if this was a brand new game or if this was some sort of remake. This is a brand new game that they're apparently willing to solely put out on the Switch. I'm assuming that Diablo 3 must have done really well on Switch.
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but that was like the first thing I saw about that was that it was going to be a Switch exclusive. But, yeah. But another big thing is Outer Worlds. Obsidian Entertainment.
Oh yes.
In the wake of the Fallout 76 fiasco, has announced that they're making their own post-apocalyptic survival game that's going to basically do everything right that Fallout 76 did wrong.
Yes, and I watched this trailer after the fact, and my favorite part is the bumper between gameplay footage that says, from the original creators of Fallout. It's like thumb right in your eyes, Bethesda. Yeah. Salt right in the wound. The timing on this couldn't be more perfect. I'm laughing harder at this than I did when Path of Exile announced that they were coming out for the PlayStation 4, the free-to-play Diablo-like game, announced that they were porting themselves to the PS4 as a free-to-play game right after, the same week as the Diablo Immortal fiasco.
Yeah.
Like, I love how, one of the few silver linings of living in an ultra-capitalist society, particularly when it comes to video gaming, is that the second one of these companies fucks up, somebody else is right there to eat their fucking lunch. And I really like Oblivion. They make, really good isometric classic RPGs, and I hope that they absolutely just kick Bethesda's shit in with regards to this Outer Worlds game.
I remember
it looks good.
Around the time it was announced, one of the people I talked to on Discord put up stuff like Fallout 76 beta. Wait for it. Fallout 76 release. Wait for it. The Duffel Kerfuffle. Wait for it. Customer names leaked. Now, and then puts up the trailer.
Nice. I picture like Lord of the Rings with the hold. Oh, that's awesome. You got to get me in this Discord. Actually, I haven't used Discord in months, so.
So that's the Game Awards stuff, and just kind of grasping at straws at what else to talk about. Speaking of the best RPG of this year, apparently, Monster Hunter had Capcom put out a live stream thing of new big announcements for Monster Hunter World, which is good timing as well because currently you can get a free trial of the game. That will allow you to play through the first part and carry over progress if you decide to buy it.
Yes. Incidentally, Greg is watching the introductory cutscene of Monster Hunter World right now. I have downloaded the trial while we are talking, and now I'm sitting here.
So
watching it unfurl.
So before they even did this thing, there was already a thing where they were going to they have a big crossover thing with Final Fantasy XIV. Currently,
let's not forget also crossover with Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh yeah, that's been out for a while though.
Yep.
The Final Fantasy XIV side of the crossover is already up and running. I've already done some stuff in that little quest line in here, but on the Monster Hunter side of things, they're going to be adding Behemoth as a huntable monster.
Excellent.
And then during the live stream presentation, I should say, they announced that there was going to be a new hunt featuring the Arch-Tempered Nergigante. It's coming out in spring, so for all of you who go after the super tempered stuff, like I don't, you can go ahead and do that. There's going to be a big crossover with Witcher 3, of all things.
That is the weirdest news.
And Geralt's actually going to be in the game. And
what is up with CD Projekt these days?
I don't know.
They're just, it's first Soul Calibur, then this. It's like they just, I guess they're done with The Witcher, and now they're just handing Geralt over to as many companies as they possibly can. Keep an eye out for those Smash Brother DLC news, because I have a feeling a certain white-haired monster fighting fella might get added to the Smash Brothers roster at this rate.
Yeah, but probably
his final Smash involves Gwent cards, I'm sure.
Probably the biggest announcement though they made for Monster Hunter is the fact that in fall of next year, they're going to be releasing a massive expansion called Iceborne.
Iceborne.
Yeah, so that's going to add in not only new areas, new monsters to fight, but also some quality of life improvements. So it's going to be pretty much a reason for me to get back in the game once that drops.
Excellent. And I think you've convinced me. I'm on the character creation screen on Monster Hunter, and I think I'm going to make my guy look as much like Geralt as possible in preparation.
One of the default male settings looks almost exactly like Tommy Wiseau.
What? What? I gotta find this. Hang on.
Yeah, fine.
Hang on. Where
is? It's in there. It's one of the default settings for the character.
I found him! Oh my god, it is! Never mind. Fuck Geralt. I did not hit that monster. I did not. Oh my god, it is. He's like a little bit thinner than Tommy Wiseau. He's a little bit thinner and a little bit more attractive. Not that Tommy Wiseau is attractive at all, but this guy looks a little bit better than him. I'm gonna have to mess with the face a little bit.
Yeah.
To get that Wiseau look. But yes, he looks like a caveman. I love it.
When I played the beta, you had to use one of the presets. You couldn't make your own what dude looked like. But I used the Tommy Wiseau.
Oh, so I bet everybody was being Tommy Wiseau. That's amazing. Maybe Tommy is vampire. Oh my god, that's amazing.
Didn't we pretty much conclude that Tommy is vampire or vampire alien of some kind?
I think we concluded that he's like some sort of immortal. He's definitely some kind of immortal being. Oh yeah, let's max out his age. Yeah, that looks more like Tommy Wiseau.
Let's do this. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I've got for the list. Is there anything that
Not really. I don't really have anything. I'm not, other than the obvious stuff about the Game Awards. Not a lot really happened this week. I can't think of any massive controversies that have occurred.
Yeah, fair enough.
So,
that I guess that does it for our podcast for this week. Join us next week when we will be a little bit more presentable, a little bit more prepared, and won't necessarily have to watch my Final Fantasy XIV character wandering around doing random stuff.
You can watch me be Tommy Wiseau, and I just found the eye setting that gives him the perfect Wiseau squinty eyes. He's perfect. He's pretty much perfect now.
Send me a
I love
picture
him.
of that later.
I will. I love it. Thank you so much, Capcom, for giving me the ability to be Tommy Wiseau and fight monsters.
But
if I can tame a monster, I'm gonna name it Lisa.
Yeah. But until then, I've been Rado Goji.
And I'm Soylent Greg.
And we'll be here next time. Join us, won't you?